Okay, for whoever clicks on this, you already see the title. Actually, I haven't made it yet, but today's subject is on white privilege. Ooh, that's a controversial subject. I'm just going to speak of my personal experience. My. Um, so, when I was younger, and for another video connect that, I got in a lot of trouble. A lot of trouble through the juvenile justice system. This was in Southern California. So this was about 98. I was 14 years old. Never mind the charges. That's just another story for another video. I ended up going to, the first place was a juvenile detention center. It was, I remember them telling me it was like 82.9% Hispanic. And the white folk, it was like 6%, and the rest was other. This was in San Bernardino, Orange County area. They worked as like a conjoined overflow. But anyway, so I remember going in there and, all the Hispanics saying, of course, Güero, Gaba, Gringo, Pinche Leva, all that good stuff. And the staff, they were all Hispanic except one black dude named Mr. Lee. And they would join in and encourage it. And so these kids, this was a unit from 13 to 18. These kids that work in the car, Hispanic, would spit my food in front of them, and they would laugh. And so going through the system, there was 7 different facilities I went through just for behavioral issues. I experienced this for some reason. There was very little white folk that worked in the system out in the West, and same thing would happen, and I would get SIRs, which were like special incident write-ups for stuff I would do that other people did. And of course, as a kid, I would deflect and be like, "Oh, what about blah 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 blah?" And they'd say, "Oh, it doesn't count to him. Like, rules for me, not for him." And he did the same thing, but of course, he was another ethnicity. I grew up in Hispanic neighborhoods and got the crap beat out of me by Hispanic, and then I would go with my aunt's house in San Bernardino and get the crap beat out of me for being a white guy, just for being a white guy. I grew up very, very poor, and that has nothing to do with my skin tone. My parents were drug addicts, and that's another video. Just I endured a lot of physical and sexual abuse. It is what it is. I've come to terms with it. Maybe I haven't. I've sought therapy, all this good stuff. But the whole point of this is privilege. It's whether you say black privilage, Hispanic, whatever, it is the most dehumanizing thing you could ever say to somebody. Is automatically assuming they're in a position because of their skin color. Like they do not understand struggles of physical, sexual abuse, of going hungry, having to steal, going through the ward of the court, going through the system. None of that stuff helped me being a white guy. And that's the problem. Everything in this world has been just marginalized, categorized, how do you say it? And that, just kind of like our political landscape, and it's just division amongst people. I worked in several juvenile facilities, clinical settings, and my approach to people, I didn't see like a skin color. I just saw a man that was angry, or a female, a person that was not well, a person that was imbalanced, a person that was broken, and I didn't see any privilege in any of these people at all. It's just when we're using terms like white privilege or other races, we're taken away from humanity as a whole. And I just think this type of thinking needs to stop. Like some of us, like me, I come from Irish and Scottish descendants. We had nothing to do with the country itself forming. Actually, this industrialization and slavery and all that, we had nothing to do with that. So I do notice this, and it's a trigger warning. Learned living in Florida and all the areas, if it was Hispanic people, if a person calls a Cuban a Puerto Rican or a Mexican or whatever, they will flip out. They will explain to you that they're all different. And so us Irish folk, we're different than the Spanish settlers and the English that were a part of that. It's just the way it is. I'm not going to get offended, but assuming that a white guy is just white and we're just, that's all, we all are white, we eat beans on toast or whatever, is kind of a silly thing to do, as opposed as just assuming that all Hispanic people use tapatio. I love that stuff, by the way. But it just, there you go with the it's just something that's always been on my mind, because I've never experienced, my white skin did not get me out of any abuse I've been through. It did not get me out of going hungry as a kid. It didn't get me out of getting taken away from my parents for abuse at 6 years old. It didn't get me out of anything at all. Yeah, people can say, yeah, maybe if you're in a hick town or some area where you have the proclivity of you getting pulled over as a, say, black gentleman as opposed to white. Yeah, that's absolutely, but that's just profile, and that's nothing to do really with privilege. I don't care what you say about it. Those people have bad characters. That has nothing to do with, again, that's just, it's an inhumane way of like treating people, and we need to get out of it. As far as like a society, that's the only way we'll grow. A man is a man, or I'm not getting into gender stuff, but I'm saying like a person is a person, and if my brother, my sister needs help and I'm able to, I should help them. There shouldn't be any limitations. I shouldn't assume, oh, they already have government assisting or ever blah blah blah. When you do something good, you do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. That basically, in that verse, it's saying, do not assume you understand the situation or expect an outcome. So I have never experienced white privilege, but I've experienced privilege. We're all privileged. I'm lucky I can walk. I am healthy. Yeah, my life's been pretty hard right now, but counting my blessings, there's people around the world that are struggling to eat. I know what that's like, and it doesn't mean I understand how it's like for them. We all interpret things differently. People as a whole, every person has conservative values and everyone has liberal values on both sides of the spectrum. We allow it to be a government that dictates, like, oh, these people care for people, these people want to keep their money, all this stuff. I think we need to move more towards being pragmatic and loving people. If you're putting your identity in politics or anything, you're going to constantly be a divided person. That it's just the way it is. You're constantly going to be in the mindset of them versus me. And these people setting legislating these things, they don't care about us. I mean, remember when South Carolina, Tennessee here, when that hurricane happened, the government did not help. They actually apprehended supplies that people were sending to regulate them. Remember, it was the churches, other benevolence services, people, various creeds, sexual orientations, whatever, helped each other out. And that's how it should be. That's how it really should be. Like, it wasn't the government that helped us out. It wasn't the white people that only helped out the white people or the black. It was people that helped out in the time of need. And that's where we need to shift right now. Not saying, oh, this person doesn't belong here or this person is privileged. It's such a silly way of thinking. You don't know every individual's walk. You don't know what they've gone through. Some people like me, this is my first time exposing this stuff. I've been reserved. 99% of my friends don't even know this about me, and I'm thankful I did go through the system and learn that. It prevented me from actually going to prison later in life. But as humans, if we're alive and we're in good health, we're privileged. We are all privileged. Thank God, thank the universe, whatever your thing is, and be grateful and stop marginalizing people. Peace!